Well, this was not a scheduled live stream, but with the events of today, I thought I should go live at some point. I've kind of just been in shock all day. I mean, it is shocking, right? It feels like something bigger than even an assassin. It feels like an inflection point. I don't know. I've been kind of stunned all day, I have to say. I've been working away, but I was gonna do a live stream earlier, but I thought I should just wait, kind of get my thoughts together a bit more. Not that they're even still totally together, I have to be honest. But a totally shocking thing. And again, it feels like an inflection point as well, aside from just the personal tragedy for Charlie Kirk and his family. It feels like something that's been building. It feels like, the left wasn't satisfied with their attempts on Trump. It's part of a pattern. We've seen the left celebrating the murder, the assassination of a healthcare company executive and celebrating Luigi Mangione. It's disturbing. It's incredible. I've been trying to get my head around the whole thing all day. What are you guys saying? Hey, retired Coastie Chief, how you doing? Chef Rico, Ottawa James. All right. Well, we're not going to do the karma thing tonight. I just don't feel like it. But just all right, three times. Three times. You guys still demand it. Chef Rico says the left is a death cult. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let's I want to go here. No, I've got a bunch of stuff, but first let's take a look. I want to see if this Fox News Live is playing anything. Hold on. Let me make that bigger. I just want to see if there's anything new because the killer has not been found yet. The assassin has not been found yet. So maybe there will be an update. I'm not expecting anything till tomorrow, but I mean, maybe. What the hell is this? Why is this happening? There we go. All right.
It was such a sad time in our country. We were so divided with BLM and the riots breaking out. College campuses were wreaking havoc. That was just chaotic. And it was just a sad time in our country. And I remember standing firm in my beliefs and in my convictions and standing with our law enforcement officers back then. And I was getting ridiculed. I was being canceled. And I remember Charlie Kirk just checking in, making sure that I was standing strong through that. And even towards my White House journey, working for President Trump, he was one of the first people who called me, congratulated me. He called the White House, said, and put in a great word, which is so near and dear to my heart. I cannot thank him enough for that. And a lot of where I am today wouldn't have happened without Charlie Kirk and without this movement.
Well, this is a replay, so this isn't live at this point. There's a lot of that. Everything that you've heard from anybody who knew him at all was that he was just a great guy, like a really good guy. I mean, Tim Pool was in tears earlier today talking about it. He knew him fairly well. And everybody says he was just the best guy, Shelly, how you doing? She says, this is so sad and so wrong. It was a hit. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was definitely somebody who knew what they were doing. And I will also say, too, I did see the footage, the kind of up-close footage. And, don't watch it. If you haven't seen it, don't watch it. It's horrible. I immediately wish that I hadn't seen it. It's one of those things that just, it just takes a piece of your soul. It's like looking in the abyss. But yeah, it's a weird. There's a weird feeling because it feels like an inflection point. It feels like a Rubicon has been crossed. Does it not? Because Charlie Kirk was an incredibly important figure in the conservative movement in the United States, and his influence reached far past the United States. Conservatives were inspired by him across the world, certainly across the Western world. So it's obvious why they'd want to do that. And it means, I mean, what was Charlie Kirk doing? He was there to have debates. He goes and does debates and talks to people on college campuses. And this is a clear message. No, we don't want to talk. No, no, that's a misapprehension. We don't want to talk. This is not about talking. I talk about, like neo-Bolsheviks, right? This is what they do. This is what happens. This is the neo-Bolshevism. This is what happens when you have generations of young people push through the meat grinder, the ideological meat grinder of indoctrination centers, passing themselves off as universities, generation after generation. I want to show you something. This is from Charlie Kirk. This was from April 7th, 2025. This is what he said himself. Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals said it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response. This is the natural outgrowth of left-wing protest culture, tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. Remember fiery but peaceful? The cowardice of local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb. This was Charlie Kirk saying this on April 7th. This was him. This is what he was referring to. Justification for murder of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. So Elon Musk, left of center, 48.6%. So basically half of the left. 31.6 all respondents, which that is an insanely high number. But half of the left thought it would be justified to murder Elon Musk. Donald Trump, 55%, with 38.5 all respondents, which again is insane. But 55% of the left. It's well over half are saying, no, we don't want to talk. Because what comes after you can no longer talk? It's violence. And you've got half of the left now, and they're not liberals. These aren't liberals. Okay, this isn't your old burnout high school art teacher from the 80s. Yet 55% saying, no, we don't want to talk about Trump. We want what comes after talking. Yeah, this percent who say destroying Tesla dealerships is partially acceptable, 57% of the left. This was posted by Charlie Kirk himself. All right, I'm going to go back to you guys. Let's see. Ottawa James says, commies hate free speech. Yes, they do. Yeah, they prefer to go straight to the violence part. Chef Rigo says, not watching that, no need. Like that poor girl in Charlotte, didn't watch it either. I managed to avoid seeing the video of the girl in Charlotte, thankfully. But yeah, the video of Kirk, don't watch it. Ottawa says, sick commies. Pooping while standing. Still love that name. I live in Charlotte. This was a double whammy month for me. I've been contemplating moving to Albania or Southeast Asia, and this has influenced my decision. Well, it's getting worse, isn't it? Chef Rico says, these are Bolsheviks. Yeah, these are neo-Bolsheviks. They're fine with violence. They're not interested. They're not liberals. Everybody has to stop using the word liberal. None of this is liberal. They're not liberals. They have forsaken liberalism. These are radical authoritarian leftists. And they've been pumped out of the universities, out of the indoctrination centers, passing themselves off as universities for decades now. And they have crazy revolutionary professors. Critical pedagogy has taken over the education, even down to kindergarten now. Certainly in cities, critical pedagogy, which the purpose of critical pedagogy, it's the belief that education should be purely for politicization and to create communist radicals, communist revolutionaries. That is the point of critical pedagogy, and this is like every professor. Now it's becoming like every high school teacher, or a large part of them. Chef Rico says, move to Alberta once it separates from Canada. I'll be moving there in a flash if it separates from Canada, which I know there's people out there saying that, oh, that will never happen. Oh, no, that's ridiculous. It could happen. It could absolutely. It wouldn't be fast. It would take a while. There'd be an enormous amount of legal wrangling over it, but it absolutely could happen. All right, I want to go to back to the breaking news for a second. A manhunt for shooter underway. So, all right. So there were two people taken into custody. There was the first one, which was the old man who was shouting, "Shoot me, shoot me." Then there was another one who we don't know much about. So the first one was released because he was obviously just a crazy guy or something. He might have actually been a distraction for the actual shooter to get away. But then there was a second one who was questioned and then released. So they're saying they don't know who it was. It could be that they released either of them to just listen to them, to watch them, to see where they were going. But as of now, they're not saying that they have anybody, a suspect in custody. As of now, they do not have a suspect in custody. Let's go back to here. We'll get to GADSAD in a minute. We'll get to all this in a minute. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to make you furious. I think we should go to Trump's statement first. You guys have probably already seen it, but in case you haven't, let's hear what Trump had to say on this, because he knew Charlie Kirk quite well. I mean, Charlie Kirk was a major factor in getting Trump reelected. Getting on switching over that youth vote so much, particularly young men, by so much, which absolutely helped Trump get elected. Let's watch.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year. in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory. May God watch over his family. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
And what I think that people are going to have to come to grasp, what people are going to have to come to grasp with now, what people are going to have to grasp with now is that it's half of them. Half of them think it's okay. Half of the left think it's okay. Right? I showed you that poll there that Charlie Kirk himself published just a few months ago. It's half of them. It was more than half were fine with an assassination on Donald Trump. More than half of the left. And Charlie Kirk was just a normal conservative. He was not radical. He was not far right. And what it shows is that you don't have to be. Like, if you're just a normal conservative or a traditional liberal, they hate you and they want you dead. They're happy if you die. We've seen how the left has been behaving today, including MSNBC, who actually had to fire one of their guests because what he said tonight. Now, Charlie Kirk was not an extremist. He was just a normal conservative, a normal Christian conservative. And they're saying, no, we don't want to talk to you. We want what comes next. Like, it's time to come to grips with the fact that it's half of them. Half of them are just fine with this. Half of them. Right? When they say punch a Nazi, they mean anybody who disagrees with them. That's what they mean. And what will happen? I mean, what's going to come from Trump on this? I mean, this is personal for Trump, obviously. I mean, he was almost assassinated himself not so long ago. And Charlie Kirk was a friend of his. Truth sounds like hate to those who hate truth. Truth sounds like hate to those who hate truth. They hate anybody who accurately describes reality. Right? You're fair game. That's the message that we're getting from the left. And again, when you see how they're behaving on social media and even on MSNBC, and you see the way that it's being framed on news outlets, Let's take a look at this guy that is so hated by the left, the extremist. Any of this sound extreme to anybody?
I'll give you £1,000 right now if you could tell me the U.S. citizen that was deported under Donald Trump. You said that twice. Yeah, the U.S. citizen that was deported under Donald Trump. Can anyone tell me? £1,000. I'll give it to you right now. Yeah, name? Wrong, not a U.S. citizen. Citizen El Salvador. Anyone else? U.S. citizen deported under Trump. Nope, that was a lie. You should know better than that. You go to Oxford. So that is a correction. Number two, can you tell me when it comes to Charlottesville, something that you said when Donald Trump said that there were people on both sides? He was actually talking about the statue debate, not what you said. So that's a hoax. That's line number two. Oh, yeah, you said that somebody over here said something about Pete Hegseth being nothing more than a TV host. You should also mention that he was a service member of the military. Nope. Sorry, I'm going to talk uninterruptedly. Thank you. Service member and was a decorated war hero. Funny you didn't mention that. Oh, yes, January 6th came up multiple times from, you tried your best, but from you and from the opposition. It's not an insurrection. You called them all rioters. It's funny. A small percentage of the people that were actually there on January 6th did anything violently. The vast majority walked into the Capitol building after they were invited. Also, back to your point, I certainly hope Reform and AFD wins. So I hope that it's not to teach Trump a lesson that he goes too far. We'll get to that in a second. Finally, the Donald Duck, really, like, what was that all about? What is this jar? I have no idea what you're talking about in the back of the room. It's like, it's completely lost on me. So I don't know what that's all about. Also, on the Canadian border, the professor failed to mention that the Canadian border was closed. President Trump said fentanyl, and the amount of terrorists that are coming across the Canadian border, of which the most terrorists that come into America come across the Canadian border on the terrorist watch list. You did not mention that. And finally, professor, you never heard of it in South Africa. Interesting. You never heard of that. The fact that a major political party in South Africa says, quote, kill the Boers. Kill the Boers. I would expect more of somebody who wrote a dissertation and teaches here at Oxford to say that you would not know about the attempted slaughter and genocide of white South Africans. I never went to university. I take that as a great compliment. So therefore, everyone who went to university should be able to run circles around me. You'll be the judge, but I'll do my best.
Yeah, that's another reason why they hate him. Because, yeah, he didn't spend $250,000 on a useless liberal arts degree. And you can see here the attitude, right? Hold on. This professor he's talking to here, and he tells her about the terrorists. Most of the terrorists that get into the United States go across the Canadian border. What's your reaction here?
Across the Canadian border, of which the most terrorists that come into America come across the Canadian border on the terrorist watch list. You did not mention that.
She just shakes her head. She has no idea. Just no. Well, I must be right because I'm left wing. I must be right.
And finally, professor.
Yeah, and he rings around them without having wasted $250,000 on a useless degree, which is a sin to them. Not to go to the indoctrination mill is a sin to them. Now let's get back to the chat for a second. Let's see. Shifter dude, how you doing? No chat engagement, says bye. Well, most of the chat comes from the Rumble side, so you can go over to Rumble and join the community there. It's an awesome community over there. Most of the chat usually comes from there. Let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. I just want to see what you guys are saying. Macross says, these people don't know the can of whoop-ass that's being popped open. People are fed up. You know, I'm saying it feels like an inflection point, doesn't it? I mean, you've had two horrific murders just, in the same week, right? Ottawa James says, pendulum is swinging. Chevrigo says, yeah, they're being tracked for sure. Yeah, the two people that they questioned and let go, they're definitely being tracked, and they're listening to everything that happens on their phone, I'm guessing. Ottawa says, well said, Donald. It was good. Chevrigo says, Benny is so angry and sad. It's tragic. He knew so many people. He was such a big part of the movement. And every single person absolutely loved him. And they're just devastated. I was watching Tim Pool. He was in tears on his show earlier when he was first reporting it before the main show. Macross says, as a white man, I am done sitting and waiting for my knife in the neck or bullet in the heart. It's time for excising the cancer. It needs to start yesterday. Well, the ideology is, I think what the left doesn't seem to understand is that when you create an outgroup, so the left has been very busily, doggedly creating an outgroup, which is white people, just all white people. Right. And what they don't seem to understand is that when you, and this is, by the way, people who didn't want to create outgroups of other people, just, we all thought we were going towards that Star Trek, The Next Generation future. But behind the scenes, quietly in the universities, you had, gender race communists indoctrinating and propagandizing and brainwashing generations of young people. And all of a sudden, they've infiltrated every single institution, the media, academia, everywhere, and lots of politics as well. And they've been doggedly working to create white people as an outgroup. And when you create an outgroup, that outgroup becomes its own in-group, inevitably, because there's nobody else looking out for them. That it is inevitable that will happen. And nobody wanted this. I mean, we all thought we were going towards that Star Trek future. And then the fucking commies got a hold of everything and screwed it all up. Timothy Byer, how you doing? Thanks, RB from Sedalia, Missouri, USA. Well, thanks for being here, Timothy Byer. Yeah, it's really a tragic day, and I think that I think that the effect of this act is going to echo for a long time. Like, I think a line has been crossed. Chef Rico says, we have to live by the example that Charlie set, but we don't have to accommodate their bullshit ideas either. No, they're insane Bolshevik ideas. No. Chef Rico says, fuck MSNBC. Yes. Shifter Dude, yeah, it is live. It is live, but I think we lost them. Let's see. Major Retard. That's a pretty good name. Charlie once said you can tell a lot about a person by how they react when someone dies. Yeah. Well, we've seen how a lot of the left, it's not, obviously not everybody, but like, let's go back to here. This here, right? That Charlie Kirk posted himself just in April 7th. I mean, look, justification for murder of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. For Trump, 55% left of center, 48% for Musk, left of center. Something's happening. Something has happened. I think that everybody has a duty now that when they hear something insane, hear somebody say something that's just, some dogmatic, far left, ridiculous denial of reality, you just have to say something, right? Don't worry if they get mad at you. It doesn't even have to be a big thing. Just, I don't know about that. Just to signal to the other people around that, like, yeah, okay, it's actually all right not to just follow the dog. Like, it's that other people also question the dogma. Maybe 5-year-olds really aren't born in the wrong body, that sort of thing. Because it really comes down to numbers, right? Comes down to numbers and, which ideas are the most successful ideas. And really, if just every single person just did that, right, it would free so many other minds from the chains of political fashion and then fear of being denounced by some idiot, for not following current thing. Let's see. Ottawa James says we lost a good one here. Yep. McCross says Charlie Kirk was trying to talk. They made clear over the last months they are behind talk. They're past it. They are beyond talk. That's right. Ottawa James says, I always sit at the very last seat on the bus now. Not a bad move. Jeff Rico says situational awareness at all times. Yeah. McCross says, fuck commies, fuck socialists. You have a country. It isn't the United States of America. Well, the perfect realization of their ideals, because they are authoritarian leftists and they're all Marxist, there is that country. It's North Korea. They can go there. Major Retard says, thanks, man. It's a classic name. I don't know how you got that. I mean, I can't believe that wasn't already taken. What, did you get that 20 years ago? I want that name now. Let's see. All right. McCross says, also, if you want to practice Sharia law, the United States of America is also not your country. And I would also say Canada is not your country, or the UK. It's just fundamentally opposed. I mean, Sharia law cannot exist alongside anything else. It's just a universalist ideology. It must be the dominant ideology. That's the whole point of it. It's not just religious, it's political. It's just an entire agenda for life, for every part of life. Let's see. Chef Rico says JB back ribs, blamed it on Trump. Oh, yeah. Pritzker. Yeah, I saw that. That guy can self-replicate. Rogue Thought. Hello, chat. Sorry in advance. I'm filled with rage tonight. Yeah, we all are. All right. Well, let's keep going here. If you want to be filled with more rage, watch Gad Sad here. So he knew Charlie Kirk, and he is full of rage. I'm just going to play this whole thing in its entirety. It's 3 minutes and 36 seconds.
Hi, everybody. This is God Sad. I was out with a friend. I'd already found out that Charlie was shot, but I received the text that he had died. The attack on Charlie is an attack on every decent human being who lives in the supposed free West. Charlie lost his life because he represented the ideals of American freedom. He's a guy who decided in his teenage years to found an organization that has grown to be massive. In a free society, you're allowed to do that. He was always respectful. He was always a family man. He was a man of faith. He was a friendly guy. I know him personally. I call him a friend. I've been on his show many times. He's been on mine. He's invited me to Turning Point. We met at Mar-a-Lago. He's very tall. He's a gorgeous human being. It doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum. What happened today should shake you to your foundation. A society that sinks into this kind of behavior, where such a bright light, again, it doesn't matter whether you agree with his positions or not, although his positions were always delivered with kindness, with a smile on his face. He's respectful. He wants to engage people. I've always argued that I'm a man of intellect. I'm going to defeat you in the war of ideas. I'm going to defeat you by offering better arguments. I've implored people for decades that it is better to solve the problem in the arena of ideas, because tomorrow the problems will be solved in the arena of violence. What happened today to Charlie has to wake you up. It has to compel you to say, I don't want to live in a society where someone like Charlie Kirk or anyone else who offers a position could lose their life because of it. He's got 2 young children. He's got a young wife. I, I had a meeting today, an important meeting at 6 o'clock with Old Miss, and I canceled it. They were gracious enough to reschedule because I am floating on a cloud of immeasurable rage. You should be as well. Have a good day, everybody.
And let's not forget, Charlie Kirk was there to have a debate, to talk to people. And the answer was, from the left, resounding, yeah, we don't want to talk. We're past that. It feels like a line has been crossed, does it not? And this is a result, I think, obviously, everything we're seeing and everything that we will see, because they've shown they're willing to cross over that line. But it's a result of the universities and the indoctrination of generations of young people. That's why you see things that are unbelievable, unimaginable. 20 years ago, doing a poll and finding that 55% of leftists, of people who would vote for the Democrat Party in the United States, would be in favor of the assassination of a Republican. That would have been inconceivable seeing a poll then. That's just life now. The ideology has to be dug out root and branch. It has to be. It has to be. The academia in all of the Western world, because let's remember that leftism is now exactly the same in every country. They're all the same. All right. They are all just drones for the same hive mind. The universities, there has to be something done about it. You can't just keep pumping out revolutionary communists, gender and race communists, year after year, and expect to have a civilization. They are pumping out an ideology that is totally antithetical to Western civilization. What are those mobs with their Palestinian flags going down the streets screaming death to Canada, death to Israel, death to the United States, death to the UK, wherever they are? That is totally antithetical to Western civilization. All right? This is the new Bolshevism, folks. It can't be allowed to flourish. And something has to be done. Has to be done about the universities, because they're pumping out this ideology. And it's not just crazy kids in the universities anymore and they'll get out to the real world and learn better. No, they changed the real world. This is the ideology of academia and the media now, and the politicians of the Joe Bidens or whoever was controlling Joe Biden, and certainly the Kamala Harris and the Justin Trudeaus and the Mark Carneys as well, folks, and the Keir Starmers and the Macrons. This is their ideology, all of them. So it's going to I mean, obviously nothing's going to happen in Canada for a while, but Trump needs to move. He needs to do something about he needs to do more about the university. I know he's already started and there's been some improvements, but there has to be more. You can't just keep pumping out just these hive mind drones year after year after year and expect to have a functioning civilization where human well-being means anything. Rogue Thought has sent in $5. So We're gonna do a somber best person ever. Well, we can't because we're gonna save that for Charlie Kirk tonight. But I'm just gonna thank you very much, Rogue Thought. He says, let's post this up. Hold on, how do I get that up? Rogue Thought, like many, I've had it with the left's evil, hurting innocent people and anyone who doesn't agree with them. Fuck them. Yes. Anyway, thank you very much, Rogue Thought. All right, let me go back into the chat a little bit, see what you guys are saying. I want everybody to have a chance to vent. Rogue Thought says, so glad you were streaming. I wasn't going to, and I thought I should probably go on. Cross says, if these people want relocation assistance, please apply for help in said relocation. We will peacefully help you with more appropriate locales. I say Gaza. Would you like to go to Gaza? Do you know how to parachute? Rogue Thought says, I watched this, pretty moving, yet get sad. This is like 1,000 videos of people that do them. I mean, it's shocking because it's a message to everybody, right? Watch what you say. Don't you dare disagree with us. JDL, how you doing? He says, welcome to the revolution. Yeah. Major Retard says, Major Retard. I'm shocked by how much I am affected by Charlie's death. It's a double whammy after the death of Irina Zarutska. Yeah, me too. Me too. I've kind of been stunned all day. For one thing, I mean, it's not, I was never, somebody who was constantly watching Charlie Kirk content or TPUSA stuff, but he's just been a major figure in the kind of sane person sphere for a while. And we've all seen the clips, and, he'd become an iconic figure and very important in MAGA. And so just as a personal tragedy, the guy was 31 years old, wife and 2 young kids. And, you see all the testimonials from everybody, how much they love the guy. And yeah, on that level, just on that human level, but also it feels like it signifies something as well. Something else. There's a deep, deep foreboding in this. Chef Rigo says they have gone too far. This might spark events across the West. It feels like a line's been crossed, right? JDL says, end tenure now at university and college. Well, maybe there's an idea. Rogue Thought says K through 12 have to be purged now too. And it's the same everywhere across the Western world. Exactly the same everywhere. That's, I think, more important than anything. Get K through 12 purged of the mind virus, of the critical pedagogy, which exists for no other reason than to create revolutionaries. It's not about educating your children. It's about turning them into revolution. It's about ideology. It's about brainwashing. Ottawa James says we need to clean up justice systems and governments. It's everything. While everybody was asleep, they took over everything. Everything. Trump's president of the United States, but they are still in every institution. They're everywhere. Some of them are laying low right now, but they're just waiting. They're just waiting. All right, we're losing Chef Rico. All right, thanks for stopping in. We'll see you on that Friday night. McCross says, did you hear Governor Abbott outlawed Sharia in Texas? I didn't hear that, but good. It should be outlawed. I mean, that's the only sane response to that ideology. Rogue Thought says, absolute evil bastard celebrating this soulless. Yep. But they've been trained to think that way. JDL says, spelling is transphobic now. Yep. Everything is. Cross says, also, fuck the smooth brains. Yeah. Couldn't agree with you more on that. Let's keep going here. So MSNBC, Piers Morgan says MSNBC's shameful output since Charlie Kirk was shot, first suggesting it was one of his own supporters firing a gun in celebration. They actually did that. I mean, it's unbelievable. Then inferring he brought it on himself with his opinions confirms everything I've always suspected about the woke left. They're repulsive. Yeah, I believe we have from MSNBC. I mean, we'll come back to this girl. She's just a demon. This is just a demon. This is what they're pumping out. This is what the universities are pumping out. Hold on a second. I believe I have it down here. I don't think we need to see clips of the, I think everybody's seen the clips from the, and I'm not going to show the actual footage of them being shot. Where is it? Hold on. There's a lot in here. Oh yeah, just deranged leftists. They did get images of, there's the guy. It looks like the guy on the roof right there. Can you see that? So it was somebody who knew what he was doing. There was some footage of a guy, cops arresting a guy, and he had a rifle, but it was a pellet rifle. What's this here? Is this connected to? No, I want to go back. Oh, Sean McGuire. The left lectured us for the last decade about the dangers of violence from the right. From the assassination attempts of President Trump to Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, being murdered, now to Charlie Kirk. The danger was actually on the left, and we've all known that all along. They always accuse you of what they're doing. Every single time. That's an iron law. It's actually a tactic for the left. I think rules for radicals. Elon Musk says the left is the party of murder. Yep. Yes, they are. This was powerful from Konstantin Kisin here as well. We'll get back to that, but I want to see if I can find the MSNBC. If not, I'll just do a quick. Here we go. MSNBC. Just what's this? Despicable ghouls. Despicable ghouls. Let's take a look.
Talk to me about the environment in which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, to emphasize what you just emphasized, we don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to
hate speech. He's just a normal conservative, a normal, pretty much middle of the road conservative, accurately describing reality. This actually went to air.
Hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Talk to me about the environment.
And he doesn't see the irony, obviously, the hideous irony in his words there. Now, I believe that guy has since been fired from the network for that. It's just ghoulish. Ghoulish. And exactly what you'd expect from this network, by the way. Ghoulish. I always go back to hateful thoughts. You mean like the ones that are constantly spewing from MSNBC? He doesn't mean those ones, because it doesn't count when they do it. Here's Greg Gutfeld. Nick Sortor published this. This is what Greg Gutfeld had to say. And he drops an F-bomb live on TV here. But listen to this. I think this echoes what a lot of people think.
Yeah, I know that it's somewhat object of mockery to say thoughts and prayers, but thoughts and prayers for his family. They need it from all of us. And Jesse's right. If they could do this, they are capable of anything. I think that was the message. I believe that was the message. It's really hard to radicalize Republicans.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're not the radical type. But if you thought that you were going to shut a movement down, you're going to get a rude awakening. You woke us the fuck up.
And we will.
Yeah.
You woke us the fuck up. It feels like a line has been crossed, doesn't it? This was the guy, the first one that they arrested. He jumped out and started saying, "Shoot me," to the police. There's some suggestion that he might have been a distraction for the police, so that the shooter, he might have been working in concert with the shooter, so to create the distraction for the shooter to get away. I don't know if that's true. That's purely speculation. Just evil leftists there celebrating it. Walter Kern said this. Editor-at-large, County Highway co-host America Week with Matt Taibbi. Walter Kern, my military sources detect signs of a professional or at least organized assassination. Misdirection in the crowd to allow for the gunman to escape. Long, precise shot from an elevated position. Time will tell. Be very careful as a narrative and possible suspects emerge. So they don't have anybody yet. In fact, let's just check and just see if something's happened. Okay, hold on. Shooter still at large, it says here. Manhunt for shooter underway still. Now, in Utah, they have the death penalty. So, Liz Cronkin says, Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a skilled sniper in a sophisticated operation. Charlie was murdered at a secure event in broad daylight where he was surrounded by security. It actually was not very secure. They didn't have any drones in the air. The university essentially did nothing to provide security. That is what I've heard so far. There's no way this was not a professional hit executed by a team. The question is, what entity was behind it? Well, I think this was Bolsheviks. This is what they do. These are neo-Bolsheviks. They're by any means necessary. And I think that since Kash Patel took over the FBI, they've taken all of the FBI agents off the school council meetings, right? And the parent-teacher meetings, and they've put them to better use. I guess they're looking at Antifa. That would be the first place you would want to look. But start looking into these neo-communist, the revolutionary communist groups. That's the real danger. That's the real danger. Joe Biden tried to gaslight everybody by saying that white supremacy was the greatest threat. And that's why they were saying, that's why they're having the FBI monitor parent, school council meetings, right? Because of those white supremacy threat. Well, I think they're on the right track now. Now, with this in mind, how does this happen? Johnny Mag, this is from September 9th. Holy smokes, Trump just stared down Free Palestine protesters who called him the Hitler of our time in a DC restaurant. How does this happen? After Butler, how does this happen?
Trump is the Hitler of our time. Free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler.
And of course, Trump, because he's Trump, goes towards them, tries to talk to them. I mean, but this just can't be allowed. Like every one of those, how they should not be in there in the first place. And every single one of them, within a second of realizing what they were, should have been face down, zip tied with a bag over their head and sent to Guantanamo immediately. Yeah, that just can't happen anymore. Fisher King writes, the left-wing mainstream media, as well as figures like Gavin Newsom, claiming Trump plans to be dictator, has created a climate of hysteria against right-wing figures that could radicalize any number of unstable people to engage in political violence. Pray Charlie Kirk is okay. The mainstream media and people like Gavin Newsom and Tim Walz and people like that, they're just capitalizing on what the universities and what the even high school, even K through 12, have already accomplished. They're just capitalizing on the indoctrination that already exists by the time that young people get into the real world. It's the universities, it's the schools. Something has to be done. You may have seen this footage, this guy being arrested, and they show a rifle. Let's see if, hold on, I think they're going to pan over and you'll see it there. That's a pellet gun. This is not the guy. Let's listen to this. So this is the guy that they felt they needed to shut up so badly.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assault, the left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
What's this been for?
I go around universities.
See, the fact that he's starting conversations is why he was the threat. Like, the left doesn't want conversations. They know they can't win the conversations. These aren't liberals anymore. There's very few liberals. What few liberals there still are with us now. Okay? They don't want conversations, right? They don't want to have a conversation with Charlie Kirk. They can't win that conversation. These are authoritarian leftists. These are Bolsheviks. Right? They have no need. They laugh at conversation. They don't want it. And they don't want him having conversations with anybody. That's the biggest threat, freeing people from the mind virus. Let's take a look at this. Charlie Kirk on the Will Cain show. So, yeah, Van Jones, CNN's Van Jones, obviously accused him of being a racist for his comments on Irina Zarutska. Actually, that one is not. Will that one load? Let's take a look. Sometimes they just don't work. No, it's not going to work, unfortunately. Okay, sorry, guys. There's a bit more I wanted to show you. All right, so former FBI agent Stuart Kaplan says Charlie Kirk's assassination was a professional hit. So let's take a look.
I think this assassination, different than the assassinated attempt back in Butler, Pennsylvania, was a very well planned, very well orchestrated plot that was put in motion days before. And this individual had a plan of escape to elude detection of being up on a rooftop, and also being able to evade and elude law enforcement after that shot was taken. When you take a look at what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, Crooks came onto the venue, he left the venue, he came back, he was questioned. I mean, it was really an amateur scenario. This assassination of Charlie Kirk, to me, is indicative of a professional hit. And I'm not so sure that we are going to quickly be able to apprehend this individual without some luck, hopefully.
When you say professional hit, what do you mean by that exactly? Do you mean one shot, one kill, escape already planned and at large. It looks clean, yes, but could this be done by anybody with any sort of basic training?
Well, when you take a look at the video and you take a look at the venue and the spectators and how close they are to Charlie Kirk, and then you have that kind of like umbrella over him, that kind of tent, you have to know that this shooter had to be perched in a position with respect to being able to lay his sights perfectly, basically a headshot. And the shot that was taken to immediately incapacitate Charlie Kirk. And so this was not some amateur who just, got up on a rooftop because it was, what I consider spontaneous combustion. He got up this morning and decided he was going to do something crazy. This seems the earmark of a professional that got up onto this rooftop well in advance of the venue being occupied by the spectators. He was clearly undetected. There was no indication that anybody saw him up on this rooftop. Obviously, after that one single shot was taken, he was able to basically very quietly and systematically elude any further detection and escape. There's been no indication that there's been a vehicle identified or any mode of how he actually escaped the venue. And so to me, this is someone who had some experience, some level of sophistication to have mapped out exactly how this was going to go down.
It could be like ex-military that had been radicalized in the Biden military, because let's not forget, Biden basically completely woked the military. I mean, it was just under Biden, it was full of DEI and gender and race communist propaganda intentionally. I mean, remember the General Milley talking about he wants to understand white rage? Do you remember that? Might have been ex-military that was radicalized into an extreme leftist. It might be ex-military that was radicalized into leftist extremism during the Biden years in the Biden military. I mean, the purpose of that ideology is to radicalize, right? That's the whole point. All right, I'm going to go back in the chat a little bit, see what you guys are talking about. Let's see. Oh, James says, yeah, Greg saw that earlier. Well put. Yeah, he put it very well, didn't he? Let's see. Hold on. Macross says, I am on Rumble. CommieTube can suck it. Well, on the live streams, at least lately, there's been, they've been letting a few more people see my thumbnails. The new channel has been, well, let me put it into perspective. I think yesterday I got something like 80 impressions for my thumbnails. An impression means every time somebody anywhere around the world sees your thumbnail, and click-through rate is when they click on it, go through. So, a really good one would be like 10%, 7%, something like that, anything over 6%. So if you're getting, say, 100 impressions, it's not many views. So it's not helping me. Maybe I will just quickly take a second to say this is the new YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you're watching on the original channel, Radio Baloney. I've started up a second one just a week ago. And so it's very new. There's 16 videos on there. It's Radio Baloney News. There on my homepage, you can see you will find the icon for it. You can click on it there, go to it. Please subscribe to this channel. The algorithm is not going to show it to you. So I'm just going to rely on you guys just finding it and then subscribing. And this is where all of the world news, like European news, US news, the meme reviews are all going to go on here. from now on, and the main channel is gonna be live streams, which will cover everything, but then the clips are going or the from scratch videos are gonna be just Canadian news. So I would very much appreciate if you could help me out there. Rogue Thought says Walter Curran is a good person, I believe. I've never seen anything from him that seemed terrible. Dramus says Gutfeld is right. Yeah, 100%. Feels like a line has been crossed, right? Feels like they've crossed the Rubicon this time. I mean, he was a beloved figure. And they've made a martyr. The left has made a martyr. RSN 40 says this is so sick. Yep, I agree. Rogue Thought says the eye of the Trump government is now on this. Fucking good, yeah. I think this is going to be taken very seriously. And yeah, there is a fifth column in the United States of people with an ideology that's totally antithetical to Western civilization, to constitutional republic, and frankly, just human well-being. JDL says, who was worse than Hitler before Hitler? Genghis Khan? Let's see. Macross says Attila the Hun. Roxot says Attila the Hun. I'm going with Genghis Khan. JDL says it doesn't seem real. No. Well, Charlie Kirk was an iconic figure. It's weird. I've just been kind of stunned all day, I have to say. Macross says the French Revolution also ushered in some pretty despicable persons. Also, that's why the left likes the French Revolution. Somebody needs to tell them. The thing is, they don't actually like to read. Is the thing. Everything they know about the world is from a TikTok video, from some 60-second TikTok video. Somebody needs to explain to them what happened to Robespierre before they decide that they want to be Robespierre. Let's see. Macross says the crapper of it all, it killed the people that conceived it. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. No, it was not. No, he was hit in the neck. And it looked like, and then, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact details, but it looked like it was immediate. Rogue Thought says, my 86-year-old mom who watched CNN for her news now thinks the left are liars and evil. The trans BS turned her. Yeah, but that's, the average age for CNN is, I believe, 70. Jack says this is down to the deep state, the Dem Party, and the fake news. I think there's a very organized neo-Bolshevik underground, not just in the United States, in every Western country. And I think that they've probably recruited. I mean, we've seen the militaries be wokeified, right? And with the express intent of radicalizing military members into gender and race communism. It's happening in Canada too. They've got freaking tampons in the men's washrooms on Canadian military bases. JDL says, can we still say woman here? Maybe it's the only place you can still say woman. Ottawa James says, don't forget to give Radio B some likes. Say yes. Let's get some likes going. That'll cheer me up. Let's get some. Everybody everybody subscribe. You know the deal. Go to the new YouTube channel, Radio Baloney News. Subscribe to that as well. JDL says, hit that like. It's a very important thing. Yeah, I don't have my normal irrepressible energy tonight, you guys. I'm still just kind of shocked by it. Hold on a sec. JDL says the press will try to memory hole it. Yeah, of course they will. Immediately, actually. But it's not going to work. They've created a martyr now that's going to mobilize millions. All right. Rogue Thought says history seems replete with events like this. It sucks that that's what it takes. I finally got around to reading about the Russian Revolution a couple of years ago, and it's really shocking how the similarities, the infiltration, the ideological infiltration, the kind of treating it with kid gloves, and yeah, and just the and it's if you look at the French Revolution as well, right? It's just all built on lies. So yeah, it's kind of striking. Also, too, when you read 1984, right? You go, "Oh my God, this is all happening." Let's see. All right. All right, we're gonna get to a little bit more, and then we'll probably shut it down soon. But here, these are the kinds of demons that are being produced by the education system now. It's gonna make you angry. It's 30 seconds. We'll watch it.
Basically, I heard a loud bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest, and then all of a sudden just tons of blood gushing right out where his heart is, and then he fell over and slumped down, and everybody got down and was screaming, and then we all ran.
Can you describe did he appear to be moving afterward or what?
Not at all. I personally believe he was dead on impact.
Oh my goodness.
Basically, I heard a
That's chilling. That's chilling, right? These are the kinds of demons that are walking around. These are the hive mind drones that are walking around, right? Totally possessed by an idea pathogen. All right. Carl Benjamin said, remember that Charlie Kirk's entire career was focused around winning the debate in proper democratic fashion, and they still shot him. Yeah. Rogue Thought says, angry-er. Ottawa James says, yeah, a lot of evils. Rogue Thought says, an empty sociopath. Jack says, that's not what I saw. No, that's not, no, it did. He wasn't hit in the chest. It was the neck. Just disturbing. And again, keep coming back to this. Truth sounds like hate to those who hate truth. Accurately describing reality. That's what they hate the most of all. That's not going to play. Yeah, we're not going to watch that. Was there anything else here that we needed to get to? I wanted to show you Victor Davis Hanson. We're big Victor Davis Hanson fans on this channel. He's saying we've crossed the Rubicon. And Victor Davis Hanson is always spot on, and he's able to kind of distill things down to their kind of most salient truths. Let's watch.
Charlie, whom I knew and really liked and respected, was one of the few people who really would go anywhere to engage in a polite and reasonable conversation with people he didn't agree with. And we kind of crossed the Rubicon here. In the United States, we really don't see this very often. We see it in Europe, we see it in Latin America, where Charlie was also a journalist and a media person, and we don't see the assassination of journalists here as much as we've had it occasionally, but this is very different. And then it's also, it takes place with the Scalise shootings that we saw, the 2 attempts on Donald Trump's life, the canonization of Luigi Mangione, taking out a United Healthcare executive. So there's a sense that certain people on the left feel that they have a moral right, or they can use any means necessary to affect political change or change the media narrative. And that's very dangerous. You see the reaction to these things that happened. Luigi Mangione was made a hero. People on the internet wish that Donald Trump had been hit. One poll had 30% of Democrats polling that they felt that it was unfortunate that he had not been hit seriously. And then you have the lowering of the bar. We have people who talk about fascism, 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 the new republic with a picture of Donald Trump's as Hitler. And when that message gets out that your political opponent is not just conservative, but he's a fascist, he's Hitler, he's Mussolini, then it draws people out of the woodwork that says, well, if that's true, I can be an iconic figure for eliminating that existential threat. And yet no one really speaks about this. And we've seen people on the floor of the Congress spew racial hatred. We see it on The View. We see it all through our society. And anybody who speaks up against it says, well, you're this or this or that. Mm-hmm. So I think we've really got to stop canonizing the hatred and start holding people to account for what they say. And I think we're in a very dangerous period where certain people on the left feel that it's going to be politically useful to marginalize or take out or neutralize journalists and political activists. Charlie Kirk was probably the most influential person under 35 in the conservative movement. He did heroic work in the 2024 election. He had a way of captivating the nation's youth, and now he's gone like that. It's tragic, but it's also evil. And I don't think you can replace somebody like that.
Yeah, evil. Evil, that's the word. Evil. Let's go back to the chat for a second. McCross says they need to stop with the "we have someone" bullshit until they know they have someone. Yeah. McCross says not really. Crooks tried to headshot and he wasn't any professional. So responding to an earlier comment, that's Thomas Crooks. He was the Butler assassin. But I believe this was further away. I think this was considerably further away than that. He was actually, part of the shock of that was of the Butler assassination attempt was that he had been allowed to get into a perfect position so close to where Trump was speaking. So, all right, let's see if we have anything else here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to show this, but this is the stuff that's all over like TikTok. Just these freaks, these gross freaks, these avatars of the fall of Western civilization, just celebrating it. Just these gremlins, You almost wish that they could get the kind of world that they hope for so that you could watch them suffer. It's just everybody else would have to suffer around them as well. Here, Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Reports, who's the most accurate pollster in American politics. Again, people will say that this was an easy shot. Yes, with training and the right equipment. All I'm saying is that the shooter had one shot on a small target at 200 yards and made it. And so they are someone who knows what they are doing, not some recently radicalized teenager that has the wrong optics. Has the wrong optics. And was there anything else here that we didn't get to? All right, let's play this one more time. I think he really captured something here. Greg Gutfeld. Let's watch this again.
Yeah, I know that it's somewhat object of mockery to say thoughts and prayers, but thoughts and prayers for his family. They need it from all of us. And Jesse's right. If they could do this, they are capable of anything. I think that was the message. I believe that was the message. It's really hard to radicalize Republicans.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're not the radical type, but if you thought that you were going to shut a movement down, you're going to get a rude awakening. You woke us the fuck up.
And we will.
You know, it makes me wonder on, CNN, MSNBC, or just NBC News, ABC News, they're all exactly the same. It makes me wonder if any of them will self-reflect at all and go, I mean, just for purely selfish reasons, go, I wonder if like that do we want to create an environment where these you know essentially political figures and they themselves can be in the crosshairs, right? If they will come to the realization that we probably shouldn't create this environment because it's dangerous for us too. Now, no Republicans don't do this shit, right? The conservatives don't do this shit, right? But you'd wonder if any of them might kind of, I don't know, just grow like the tiniest little bit of a soul or something. I don't know. You'd think this sort of thing would give them pause for thought, but it probably won't, obviously. I think this is everything that we had to get. Matt Walsh said this: all that Charlie ever did was have conversations with people. He didn't insult anyone. He made arguments. He debated. He wasn't an extremist in any way. Everyone who knew Charlie personally loved him. That's the kind of guy he was, and they still killed him. I am furious and heartbroken in equal measure. I cannot put into words how I feel. Maybe that is for the best. So, I think it's going to galvanize something, and I think that's the message that we're getting from a lot of people. Gad said, I can always keep my cool, but now I'm filled with a sense of retributive violence. What just happened to Charlie Kirk should awaken every single decent human being who cares about American freedom. This is an attack on everyone. Sending you all my love, Charlie. You are an incredible human being. From Konstantin Kissin. Says, I hope I'm wrong, but tonight feels like some sort of invisible line has been crossed that we didn't even know was there. The last time I felt like this was 9/11, when it was clear, without knowing the how and the what, that the world was about to change forever. Like the rules of the game had been permanently altered, and there was simply no going back to the innocent, peaceful past. I didn't feel like this when an attempt was made on President Trump's life. If I had to rationalize why I didn't, I guess it's because several U.S. presidents have been shot at and even assassinated. Somehow it was within the realm of the possible, no matter how awful. But to murder a young father simply for doing debates and mobilizing young people to vote for a party that represents half of America, this is something else. Charlie's death is a tragedy for his wife, his children, and his family. I don't pray often. I am praying for them tonight. But I fear his murder will be a tragedy for all of us in ways we will only understand as time unfolds. I hope I'm wrong. An invisible line. Read about the Russian Revolution. And you'll start to recognize patterns. Like read about, the Bolsheviks. You'll start to see the patterns. Elon Musk says the left is the party of murder. Yep. I mean, that's just what it is now, right? I mean, I don't like just these evil demons. Ugh. Jesus. Imagine that, like being that person. Oh, hold on. There's another one here. This is from Graham Linehan. I've been making a few videos about him lately. where he is the UK. He's an Irish comedian. He created the series Father Ted, IT Crowd, Black Books. These are beloved series in the UK, and Father Ted is pretty beloved actually around the world. He's been cast out from the left because he doesn't agree with radical gender theory and doesn't want men in women's spaces. He said they just created 1 million Charlie Kirks. Well, I hope so. I mean, he's being martyred now. Right? They've created a martyr. All right. I think, yeah, that's it. That's it. So let's go back to the breaking news. Let's just check and see, because they could end up getting this guy at any time, but probably not overnight. Shooter still at large. So, all right. And anything else? Yeah, manhunt for shooter underway. So I guess that's it. So this was not a stream I wanted to do, and we normally obviously don't do streams on Wednesdays, but I thought we should, you guys would want to talk about it. So I thought we should and do a late one. And yeah. Now before we go, I want to just, for the people on YouTube, the Rumble people don't have to worry about it. Everything's going onto the regular Rumble channel. But for the people on YouTube, right now you're watching just the original Radio Baloney channel, right? The one I've had for like 5 years. I created a new channel called Radio Baloney News. It's not even a week old at this point, or I think it's a week old today, actually. And so I'm going to be putting all the world news and the U.S. news. So anything about like the EU and the crumbling European Union and the UK police state, maybe we'll call it Airstrip 1. The meme review videos, which are a bit on the lighter side. That's all going to be going here. Now, the algorithm is doing me no favors at all. In fact, it's not showing anybody that this new channel exists, right? So I'm really going to rely on you guys to, you can click on it from the main channel. If you go to the homepage on the main Radio Baloney channel, you'll be able to find this and click on it, and you can subscribe from there. I really am relying on you guys to do it. Because again, the algorithm is not going to help me, right? So, yeah, if you guys don't do it, nobody will. All right. Well, that was kind of a depressing stream. That's the most depressing stream we've had, and in the history of this live streams on this channel. But let's go to now. Don't worry, Friday we'll be back to our chipper selves again, right? So, let me just finish up the chat here, and I guess that'll be it. Provocatard. Jack says provocatard. I like that word. That's a good one. Let's remember that. Pooping while standing says, I am so concerned for our country. Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned for Western civilization, and I absolutely believe, and I think that, like, I don't know, most people I'll tell you this, like 90% of Canadians miss this, right, when they're talking about Trump. The choice was in 2024 in the United States. It was not about tariffs. It was not about policy. It was about, is Western civilization going to survive? That's what it was about. So it was about, do you want micromanaged decline guided by a bunch of bureaucrats and deep state agents and lunatics? Or do you want to say, no, actually, this place is worth having and worth preserving? And our traditions are worth having and worth preserving and worth celebrating. And guess what? This is the best civilization that's ever existed in the history of the world, and it's not even close. So if you lose it, that's a loss for the world, for the future, for history, for everything, for humanity. The United States made the right choice, but it's still riddled with the mind virus drones. So but yeah, it's concerning for every country because they're all the same. They're all exactly the same across the West. They're all just it's like they're all getting orders from the same person from the same teleprompter. Rogue Thought says, I think tonight MSM may be realizing that something different has awoken. That turd on MSNBC was fired. He was. That ghoul on MSNBC. It almost seemed like he was enjoying it as well, didn't he? Let's see. JDL says Nick Fuentes hasn't been on today. Did they did he not like Charlie Kirk or something? I don't know. I don't follow Nick Fuentes. I keep seeing the name, but I don't know much about him. I don't know what James says. A lot of sick puppies. Yep. Let's see. Jack wants to take all of those awful people on TikTok. I'm guessing, and press gang them into the Navy and have them serve on sailing ships at least a year compulsory. I mean, the funny thing is, during the Biden regime, they all would have been just probably having 5 hours a day of DEI indoctrination. I believe that Hegseth has gotten all that shit out. Thank God. Jack says, first year of higher education is compulsory military training. No college. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a terrible idea to me, to be honest. Rogue Thought says, a share of the blood of victims like Charlie Kirk, the North Carolina woman, Trump in Butler, and others are on the hands of MSM. Yeah. No, it is. They've been stirring it up. Let's see. McCross says the blood of Irina Zarutska rests solely on the judge that released her trash murderer. That's something we're going to have to cover as well. That woman, she's not a judge. She never passed the bar. She also apparently is involved with like a halfway house or something for these people. So it looks like there's an enormous amount of corruption there. But we don't have time for it tonight. Let's see. JDL says AFD party in Germany have been killed. We did touch that briefly. We do need to probably on Friday go over that a bit more in depth. It's 7 now, which is, and I believe that's out of, I think only like about a thousand or a couple of thousand, which is just, that's, something's happening there. I mean, they did try and ban the party. Something's going on. McCross says, if any other professional was as negligent as that judge, they would be facing career and litigation. Yeah. I guess we lost JD. Well, we're going to be out of here in a second. Rogue Thought says, thanks for the outlet. Well, I thought you guys might need it. Rogue Thought says, my choice was sanity or destruction. That was the choice in 2024. That was the choice. Unfortunately, in 2025, Canada went the other way. I can't wait for all those liberal boomers to find out that Carney's going to be going after their home equity, which I think is going to happen. Let's see. Rogue Thought says, I feel like there's 15-ish Western nations, more than that, trying to destroy themselves, and one half of a nation trying to save at least one. Yeah, I think that describes it actually pretty well. All right, Chef Rico's back, but we're going to be getting out of here. Yeah, we're closing down. All right. Well, thanks you guys for showing up. And yeah, that was that was not our usual fun stream. But on Friday night, we'll be back again. I'll be back to my chipper self again. And we'll have lots of things, and we'll have they them energies, and we'll have the applause and the best persons ever and everything. I just didn't feel like tonight it was really appropriate, and Yeah, so it's just kind of depressing. It just is. And it's also, again, there's a foreboding behind all of this. It feels like the Rubicon has been crossed, or an invisible line, as Konstantin Kisin said. Something. It feels like something has happened, and there's perhaps a mobilization or a galvanizing that's happening. It's a galvanizing moment, right? It is a statement, and it is symbolic in more ways than one. You have the man who wanted to have conversations with people he didn't with people he disagreed with, and debates, and he said over and over again that, if you can't talk, you end up with violence. And his answer was violence, right? The answer he was offered was violence. So it means something, right? And the left has created a martyr, and the left has created a million more Charlie Kirks. And it feels like everything changed a little bit, at least, right? So it's been I've been a bit stunned all day and trying to get my head around it all. So anyway, thanks for coming on, everybody, and hanging out with me here. I appreciate it a great deal. It's definitely, I wasn't sure if I was going to do the stream, but I thought I should, you know. A couple last chats here, then we'll call it a night. J-Ham, you just came in right at the end. Turned in late, heartbroken and furious. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can watch the replay, Rogue Thought says, "Good night, everyone. I'm going to clean my gun." That sounds like Rogue Thought. All right, you guys. I hope to see everybody on Friday night. That's going to be 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern time. Again, anybody on YouTube who's not subscribed to the new Radio Baloney news channel, go to that. You can find the link on the Radio Baloney channel, the one you're watching right now. Go over there and subscribe to it. I need it because the algorithm is it's already shut this channel down, basically. So I'm just relying on you guys to help me out with it, because it's not going to, get anybody any other way. So, yeah, anyway, I'll see you on Friday night. Thanks for the $5, Rogue Thought, again. And yeah, we'll see you all on Friday. Good night, everyone.